Yes. Mr. Paul, back.
Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
State your last name, please.
Paul Levesque, L-E-V as in Victor, P-S-Q-U-E.
Thank you.
Mr. Levesque, would you presently reside?
I have the property at 37 Street,
How long have you resided in Jamestown?
40 years,
How long have you resided on Coronado Street?
18 years.
Are you familiar with the surrounding neighborhood and the property located at 23 Standish Avenue?
Yes, I am.
How are you familiar with that?
I live right across the street from it. My front yard, my porch faces their backyard and their small apartment.
And how are you familiar with the surrounding area around the house?
Well, my wife and I, my wife who couldn't be here tonight because she's sick, but we're avid walkers and we walk, when we do walk 5 miles at a clip, so we're walking throughout the neighborhood almost every other day.
And you had the chance to review the application and the plans that were submitted?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the property and the existing location of the structure today?
Yes, I am.
Do you believe that the alterations would negatively impact the surrounding area and natural characteristics of the surrounding neighborhood?
Yes, I do. And one of the reasons why I do is where I live, where my front porch is, where we do a lot of our living, faces that property. This addition is going to intensify the living area, which is going to intensify the number of people living there. It's going to intensify the traffic. The traffic being, as you come around Coronado down Cross, there's plenty of vehicles that have a difficulty even making a corner. I've seen cars come down Cross Street, not realizing there was a stop sign there, and not even realizing they were going to have to be making a turn, and almost end up in the structure that's there now. You know, with the intensified living conditions, when I'm out trying to enjoy myself on my property, I can see the added noise taking away my enjoyment of my property.
Now, there are other properties that front this particular location, isn't that true?
Yes, there's one across the street on 4th Street that fronts that also.
Correct. And they're not here this evening, but do they have the same visual impact of that particular property as you?
Yes, they do. Their front porch is right on Coronado Street. Their living area is there also.
How would how would the neighborhood be impacted? Would it be a negative detriment to have this enlargement of this particular structure, or a positive?
I think it would be a negative, because what's happening, or what will happen, is if this is allowed in this property, I'm aware of 3 or 4 other people who are interested in doing the same thing with their garages. So if this happens to this property, expanding and non-conforming, it's going to happen elsewhere. It's really going to make the neighborhood be a detriment to the neighborhood and make it, well, you know, I don't want to use the word go downhill, but be a much larger detriment.
How many other properties, based on your familiarity with the area, have 2 living structures, separate living structures, on one parcel in your neighborhood?
In my neighborhood, I'm not aware of any. I've walked around for the last 18 years, and I can't really say that I've observed any.
Why don't you enlighten the board? When you walk, do you walk north or do you walk south, east or west? Can you please maybe, so we have an idea of what properties you see?
I will walk up Coronado Street to the dead end, walk all the way back, walk down Shoreby Hills, down Standish, go through Shoreby Hills, back up Plymouth Avenue, down Plymouth Avenue, come down. What else do you think it is? The one that's parallel to Coronado? and come back in, then I'll go down to,
I'm missing something here. Your expert has already testified that there were only 2 properties. Well, I'm curious with...
Well, we just presented testimony concerning the nature and characteristics of the surrounding...
No, but you're asking him how many houses, how many lots have 2 houses on it, and I don't know why you have to ask him that.
Well, as it pertains to his knowledge, not the expert's knowledge, Mr. Anthony presented expert testimony from the appraiser indicating that it would have no detrimental or de minimis negative impact. I just want additional testimony for the record that that's not necessarily true. Mr. Levesque, do you have anything else to add in addition to the statements that you stated to this board before we conclude our position here?
no, the only thing I would like to say, I would like to stress is, I would not like to see this allowed because of the intensification of its use, and again, the detriment it's going to have not only on me, but I can think of 3 or 4 other households on the street. You know, with the water, we have a water flow problem now, the traffic problem, potential additional noise problem, car problem, parking problem. I can go down a whole litany of list as to what could happen in addition to the expansion of, especially the big one is, if it happens here, it's going to start happening elsewhere.
Excuse me, but this is a non-conforming use that's allowed because it happened way back. I'll tell you, from my standpoint, the chance that somebody's going to be allowed to put a second dwelling on a lot that has 1 house is nil.
Okay, so the question is that
So
this
the
is not
expansion is
conforming.
not-
Pardon?
This is, I guess you're saying that this is not conforming, and therefore this won't occur at other places.
What he's suggesting is that this is going to encourage people to come in front of us and put a second dwelling unit on 1 lot.
Well, there are accessory buildings.
No, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is there are garages in the neighborhood
Yes.
that people can keep the footprint and remodel to be an accessory apartment.
Well, it's not, no, it's testing non-conforming.
They can't.
So we're okay. We're okay. I understand your concern.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did you want to? Yeah, said you were.
No.
You all set?
Almost.
Would anyone like to be heard in support of this application? Anyone would like to be heard in objection to this application? We'll move on.